Some people argue that history should remain history and that there is no need to discuss the wrongs in the past. I disagree. I think it's more prevalent than ever to discuss our history, as we are the product of the past and we are the foundation for the future. So today I'm going to talk about an aspect of history that has arguably influenced our society tremendously: the film and television industry. But before I can do that, we need to go back in time. So sit back, relax, and let's go back to 1915. You have just entered the theater and have taken your seats as we wait for the 1915 film, The Birth of a Nation, to begin. You read in the newspaper about this film becoming the first ever movie to be shown in the White House, so you have really been anticipating seeing it for a while now. Now, I know this movie came out over 100 years ago. So what? Why does it matter? Well, let me show you. Director D.W. Griffith created this 1915 film, The Birth of a Nation, to depict American history. And he succeeded. But he did more than just that. He also pushed false African-American stereotypes that are still condoned today in our society. Before we can break down the segments of the film that we just watched, there are 3 stereotypes that we need to learn: the Sapphire Caricature, the Mammy Caricature, and the Fried Chicken Trope. The Sapphire Caricature, also known as the angry black woman, is a stereotype of black women perceived as loud, overbearing, sassy, and angry. Next, we have the Mammy Caricature, which is the stereotypical depiction of black women as loyal domestic servants, happy and willing to serve their literal master. The physical description of the Mammy Caricature is short hair, dark complexion, and heavy set, the opposite of American beauty standards. Finally, we have the Fried Chicken Trope, which is simply the stereotype that black people have an obsessive love for fried chicken. Now that we have learned our 3 stereotypes, let's continue breaking down the segments of this film. Elder Cameron, on my left, is arrested and swept away. While his arrest is undergoing, we see an enslaved black man pointing and hysterically laughing at him. Next, we see the enslaved woman of Elder Cameron walk over to the hysterical man and physically assault him. Not only does the woman in the scene perfectly portray both the Sapphire and the Mammy Caricature, as she is heavyset, she has short hair, she's dark complexion, the opposite of American beauty standards, and she is eager to serve. But she also portrays the Sapphire Caricature as she's overbearing and aggressive to the enslaved hysterical man. Let's continue with the final clip of this movie. In this scene, you see black and white people shown as representatives in the Capitol. However, the black representatives are the majority, thus the white representatives are the minority. When the scene begins, we see the black representatives acting unorganized and reckless. They're intoxicated, they're fewer under the table, and they're eating fried chicken, all while in session. This scene is arguing the sense of unorganization and recklessness that would occur if black society were to become more prominent in our government, while simultaneously pushing the fried chicken trope. So we are now officially done in 1915. We have learned our 3 stereotypes that The Birth of a Nation has portrayed. So let's go back to the future. It's now 2022, and a lot has changed in the visual media industry. It's more accessible to all, There's more diversity in the industry, more, not enough, and race is becoming a part of the discussion. However, while we were traveling back from 1915 to 2022, we brought some aspects with us. In the visual media industry, we still see the portrayal of Black stereotypes. Sure, they're not as bold as before, but they're still there. In fact, they never went away. So it's 2022, maybe after this you decide to go home and watch Netflix. And you come across a TV show, you come across iCarly, a show you haven't seen since you were a kid, so you decide to press play.
Here he comes. Sam! Oh man, she's unconscious.
Hey, what's wrong with Sam?
I don't think she's breathing, but I don't know what to do. You better take over. Come on, you know how to do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation?
Yeah, I was certified in CPR last year.
We'll get to it, man.
Okay.
Out of my way! Give me some room! No! Wait, Billy Burr! Just hold still! I'm fine, all right? I'm gonna report you to the principal for impersonating a sick person. What is your name? Rebecca Berkowitz!
I'll text you later.
In this scene, you see two stereotypes being portrayed, the Sapphire and the Mammy Caricature. Two stereotypes that we saw depicted in the 1915 film, The Birth of a Nation, a movie released over 100 years ago. In this scene, Sam fakes her unconsciousness in hopes of being kissed by her love interest. However, she is shortly surprised when the nurse rushes over, pushes Shane against the lockers, and tries to help Sam. The nurse in this scene perfectly depicts the Mammy caricature as she has short hair, she's heavyset, she's dark complexion, and she's eager to serve. And she also emulates the Sapphire caricature as she's overbearing and aggressive to Shane. So after watching a few hours of iCarly, you decide to shift your attention to something different. And you come across American Horror Story, Season 3 of Coven. So, you press play.
Yo, the medium bucket is supposed to have 8 pieces. This one has only 7.
My name is not Yo, it's Queenie, and you must have miscounted because I packed that basket myself.
Well, you must have got a D in math because there's only 7 pieces.
Actually, sir, I got an A in math, all of them. Calculus, trig, advanced algebra.
Is that so?
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm sure you're a genius. Just give me an extra piece of chicken and I'll be done here.
In this scene, the directors and writers take us through Queenie's time at a fast food fried chicken restaurant, which, as we know, depicts the fried chicken trope. We also see Queenie acting aggressive and overbearing to the customer, which, as we again know, depicts the Sapphire caricature. Finally, we see the Mammy caricature depicted as Queenie exhibits the traits of short hair, dark complexion, and heavyset, the opposite of American beauty standards and the Mammy caricature. It is indisputable that the United States history of constantly placing Black society in a box is seeping into present day and has led to present day racism and stereotyping. History is continuously repeating itself, and we are allowing it to happen. It's not as simple as holding writers and directors accountable, but we must continue to understand our country's history. Growing up and having a lack of representation on screen gave me no one to look up to. I didn't know what Black beauty looked like. I didn't know what Black leadership looked like. I didn't know if that was even realistic to envision. As when there was representation, they were presented in these false and unpleasant stereotypes. History is repeating itself, and we are allowing it to happen. Black society are being typecasted to fit into these roles on the screen and off the screen. So why does history matter? Why do we continue to talk about these stereotypes if they haven't been around since the 1900s? Well, because they're still with us today. Sure, they're not as bold as before, but they are still here. My hope is that one day, everyone, even someone that looks like me, can look at a screen and envision themselves.